morning, everyone. Anupama here from Ace Update magazine. We are here at the 12th edition of World of Concrete India, and with me here is Dr. Satish Jain, who's a managing director at UHPC India Limited, a pioneer in industrialization and commercialization of ultra high performance concrete. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time with us. So, how has the expo been going, and what are the new products that you're displaying out here?
It's great to be here at World of Concrete and to be mixing, with the various industries and people who are coming over here to talk to us. Yes, every year, there's something new out there. And well, this year we are trying to explain how we have moved forward with UHPC in various other applications and other products, all in the UHPC range, whether it is marine, whether there is flowable grouts, viscous grouts, etc. Apart from the standard grouts which go into building structures or bridge structures.
So thank you for that. So your solutions are catering both to architectural applications and infrastructure applications. So do you customize your solutions for both, or you have a unique solution for which will cater to both?
Every application requires a different touch, right? So the UHPC has to be different, whether it is interior applications, architectural applications, even facade applications, or we are talking of bridge applications. I'll give you a little example, right? When we talk of bridge girders and building elements, typically, you have the most standard UHPC that the world is working on. But when you work on overlays over the bridge concrete deck, then you have a UHPC called as a thixotropic UHPC. Okay, just a little bit different in the rheology, how it works. When you talk of architectural UHPC, it has to be extra smooth, extra fine, right? So that the facade elements look great. They go typically, apart from steel fibers, you could have PVA fibers, you could have glass fibers that could go along with them. So application, varies, the product varies.
Thank you for that insight. So now we are speaking about large-scale infrastructure project.
Yeah.
So do you think UHPC is going to rule the law for upcoming large-scale projects in India?
That's a good question again. Number one thing that we have to understand that UHPC is not something that is going to completely replace concrete or completely replace structural steel, right? But why is UHPC important? Is that it can provide you with a longer life, with longer spans. And so it has started, taking the place of long span girders, long span steel girders, right? This is where UHPC comes into use. So in infrastructure, you're going to see anywhere from, 40 meters to today 100 meter spans in bridge girders, maybe I girders, maybe U-shaped girders. This is the difference, where precast concrete will not be able to go in directly. Okay, or as easily. Plus the 100 years life, maintenance-free life that UHPC provides. That's something that concrete cannot directly provide.
Okay, so one question today is regarding the sustainability that is going around. So do you think UHPC is a long-term solution for, addressing embodied carbon in structures? Or what are your thoughts on it, and how do you think this has to evolve, if at all?
So sustainability being the key word, embodied carbon being the key word, I'm again going to say 100 years plus maintenance-free life period, right? The key word being maintenance-free. Now, if I have to just make the girder once, I don't have to touch it the lifetime, right? So the life cycle costs are much lower because the maintenance is not there. Thereby, you're not spending material again and again every 10-15 years to upgrade your concrete girders. That is how you actually save the environment. Plus, you're reducing almost about 50 to 60% of the material in a new girder as compared to concrete precast girders. You are again saving material, you are again saving that embodied, carbon out there. So it's a very different approach to how you're, taking sustainability as a flag bearer, in UHPC.
So I want to touch upon a little on the skill set basically. So do you think like now you said we are looking at 100 years lifetime. So the product or the structure once made has to be foolproof. So do you think application of UHPC or applicators of UHPC are requiring specific skill set which is different from the conventional concrete? How do you address that? And as UHPC India, how do you address that?
It's very simple. Training is necessary, whatever it is. Quality control, quality assurance parameters are necessary, right? So you have to set them. It's not hard and fast. If a team is working properly in concrete, I think with a very short duration of training, they should be good with working with UHPC. Very simple. If we can keep the raw materials consistent, if on site, which we can keep the amount of water addition and the steel fibers that go into these girders, consistent, the quality measurements, the SOPs are maintained, then I don't think there is any problem. So yes, training is important, but it's not like somebody has to go to school for another year or 2 years to learn about how to put together UHPC. A quick 2 week, 1 to 2 weeks of good training on a site will give them a full idea of what care they need to take.
So you mentioned about the quality of raw materials. So how do you ensure the quality? Do you have an in-house quality check team, or are you following some international standards, or have they been certified for anything? Can you walk us through that?
Well, yes, of course, as a company, we have our quality control laboratories, etc. The point of the matter or the point of the fact is UHPC is a finicky material. You don't want to, go out of range every now and then with every batch of raw material coming. So you have to be consistent with your raw materials. The standard deviations has to be on the smaller side. Like I said, these kind of SOPs on quality assurance and quality control is very important upstage as well in the initial production or in the initial choice of raw materials. So consistency is very important. If you're consistent, I don't think any issue is going to happen.
So UHPC, you are a pioneer UHPC in India. So what global lessons or what lessons from other countries who have pioneered into this technology can we take or are we taking, and how are we tailoring it to Indian needs?
See, India as a country came too late into UHPC. It was, long back the Europeans took charge. I would say the mid-70s is when UHPC first came into Denmark and Germany and Switzerland and other areas. Denmark did a lot of work. I would say if you even go back, the first 30 years belonged to Denmark. They did everything in the infrastructure industry and even the building industry which was required. So there were a lot of lessons that actually came across, a lot of technical papers, a lot of information that came across. France took it forward like anything, right? France, I would say, is responsible for spreading UHPC across the world, right? Then it came into the US and then China and countries like Malaysia, Australia, Japan. So there is a lot that is there in the journals, in the literature, which India, like I said, India has come last into the UHPC. But for us, the importance of UHPC is now, given the sustainability point, which is very, very important. So we got to look and not rediscover things. There is a lot of lessons that have been learned in the past, and those are available for us to immediately take charge of and apply it to our Indian conditions.
Okay, so today, how do you collaborate with developers, architects, and EPC contractors to take up UHPC mainstream?
When it comes to the real estate industry, it's totally different than the government industry, right? Or the infrastructure industry. In the real estate industry, it's more about, can I get more flexibility? Can I get more speed in construction? Can I get better functionality? And these are the kind of areas where UHPC can really get in and provide more and more. Can I get more spans? Can I reduce the number of columns? Can I reduce the column sizes? Can I reduce the weight of my precast elements? These are the questions, that we actually bring in front of the developers and answer them as well. Because sometimes those questions are not there. They don't know what questions they need to sometimes ask, and we bring the questions and the answers to them, which they're really, then it opens up the eyes as to what UHPC could do. Right behind you over here is a swimming pool that is, between two towers, at 70 meters high. This is a zero maintenance swimming pool, and that's what the developer wanted. And then when he started talking about the swimming pool and we started giving an idea about UHPC, this whole thing materialized, That's how easy it is, actually.
Today, the topic that has been most under discussion is the Middle East war.
Yeah.
So, how has it affected the industry as such? Anything? Has it impacted, or has it not?
I'm sure everybody is feeling the impact. It is not just the UHPC industry, the concrete industry, and thereabout the other industries, which are going. But yes, the overall concrete industry is affected by UHPC a little, by the Middle East war, because if you look at admixtures, etc., the costing of admixtures have gone up tremendously. Of course, we hope that very soon things will come down. I would say the depreciation, in the value of the rupee, that's affecting, in other ways as well. So the effect is there, but the industry has to move on, and things will plateau out sooner or later.
So you are a pioneer in bringing UHPC to India, or UHPC India is a pioneer. So what do you think are the barriers currently for the adoption of UHPC in India?
See, any new material is going to face resistance. But like I said, the material is now, almost 50 years old. So there is a lot of confidence in the material out there. The barriers, if you would ask, a very simple thing is, as soon as the Indian design codes come out, and they are in the making, as soon as they come out, the adoption will be much more easier, because the structural engineers, the architects, the developers will be much more, amenable to utilizing, they find the confidence, they are risk averse, correct? So once the codes are in, the risk is passed on to the code. And that is where you're going to see the adoption shoot up. So right about this year, the Indian Roads Congress code for UHPC is coming out, and so the infrastructure industry will easily adopt it very soon. The BIS code is already into the making. When that comes out too, you will see the real estate usage also shoot up quite a bit.
One last question, probably. What is that myth about UHPC that you want to break? What is prevailing in, among the users or potential applicators?
Okay, myths about UHPC. A few myths are floating around, which is not necessarily true. Myth number one is UHPC can only be precast. No, it is not true. You can do cast in place UHPC, you can do precast UHPC, any manner that you want to do. Secondly, there's a myth that is floating around is that concrete needs to be cured, right? So UHPC also needs to be cured. The myth that is floating around is that UHPC has to be steam cured. Not necessary at all. You can still water cure it. You can put curing compound over it. These are a couple of common myths which are around with UHPC.
Okay, one more question I have. Where do you think this has found a lot of applications? So what is one more application area that UHPC has to go ahead, or a few more application areas that has to be, it has to go into penetrating?
Yeah, you see, the railways is very soon going to adopt UHPC. So that's one application that's going to explode in India as well. Okay, the pre-engineering building market is looking forward to using UHPC as well. And one thing that we really haven't spoken about is the mechanical engineering market is also looking forward to UHPC, because you can make machine bases, etc., that have a very high damping, better than a casting. So that's an area that's going to find usage of UHPC as well. So these are markets, untapped markets that are there.
Sir, thank you very much for your time. So that was Dr. Satish Jain, who walked us through UHPC India and the UHPC industry as such. Thank you for your valuable insight.